Carnegie challenges us to make this principle practical by practicing empathy daily. The next time you ask someone for something, pause and ask yourself, why should they want to do this? What's in it for them? This question forces you to shift perspective, to stop seeing through your own eyes and start seeing through theirs. It transforms communication from a transaction into collaboration, from resistance into resonance. We can take inspiration from great persuaders in history, figures like Abraham Lincoln, who during his presidency rarely forced his views upon others, but instead appealed to shared values of unity, freedom, and progress. His words stirred not because they commanded, but because they touched the deepest desires of a nation yearning for purpose. Lincoln understood that you cannot drag people into agreement. You must lift them by showing how their own wants are fulfilled in the vision you present. In business, salespeople who master this principle excel far beyond others. An average salesperson talks endlessly about the features of a product. A great salesperson speaks only of the customer's desires. This car isn't just reliable, it's a way for you to keep your family safe. It's not just fuel efficient, it's money back in your pocket every single month. By speaking in terms of what the customer wants, they transform a transaction into fulfillment. To apply this principle requires humility. It means admitting that our own desires are not enough to move others, that we must listen, observe, and discover the desires of those around us. It demands patience, empathy, and creativity, but the rewards are immense. When people feel their own wants are being respected and fulfilled, they become eager participants, enthusiastic allies, and loyal partners. So, how can you master this principle? Start with these steps. Listen deeply. Ask questions not to respond, but to understand. Discover what excites, worries, or motivates the other person. Frame your request in their terms. Instead of, I need this done, say, this will give you a chance to showcase your skills, or this will help you get closer to the recognition you deserve. Appeal to noble motives. People want to feel important, proud, and part of something meaningful. Show them how their actions serve a greater purpose. Paint a vivid picture. Help them imagine the benefits, how their life will look, how they will feel once they act on your suggestion. Now imagine living your life with this principle at the forefront. Every conversation, every request, every negotiation framed not in terms of your wants, but in terms of theirs. Think how much resistance would dissolve, how many doors would open, how much influence you would quietly but powerfully wield. Carnegie ends this principle with a simple truth. The world is full of people who are primarily interested in themselves. So if you want to be influential, stop trying to pull people toward you. Instead, walk toward them. Speak their language. See through their eyes. Feel with their hearts. When you do, you awaken in them an eager want so powerful that they will gladly walk alongside you. The challenge then is this. For the next week, practice turning every request into an appeal to the other person's desires. Notice how your conversations shift. Notice how resistance softens. Notice how influence increases. You will find that the secret Carnegie shared nearly a century ago is still the most practical and powerful tool of human relations today. Arouse in the other person an eager want, and you can move mountains without lifting a finger.
If you were to boil down all of human behavior into a single driving force, it would be this. People act for their own reasons, not yours. Every action, every choice, every decision a person makes is driven by one simple question. What's in it for me? This may sound selfish at first, but it is not. It is human nature. From the child who cries for attention, to the teenager who studies hard for recognition, to the adult who works long hours for financial security, all of us are guided not by what others want, but by the eager desires of our own hearts. Dale Carnegie, in his timeless wisdom, reminds us that the secret to influence lies not in pushing others to adopt our wants, but in learning to see the world through their eyes, and then aligning our goals with their desires. He tells us plainly, the only way to influence people is to talk about what they want and show them how to get it. Think about this for a moment. How often do we make demands of others, expecting compliance simply because we asked? Parents demand their children study, managers demand their employees work harder, leaders demand loyalty from their followers. But demands alone seldom inspire action. They create resistance, resentment, or half-hearted compliance. True influence does not come from commanding, it comes from arousing an eager want in the other person so that they do not feel pushed but pulled forward by their own desires. This is not manipulation, it is the art of harmonizing what you want with what others want, of presenting ideas in such a way that the other person sees benefit, opportunity, and value for themselves. Carnegie offers a simple but profound insight. When dealing with people, we must forget about our own wants for a moment and focus instead on theirs. The child doesn't want to study for the sake of discipline, but he might want to study if it means earning praise, gaining independence, or achieving a dream career. The employee doesn't work harder simply because the boss demands it, but he might if he sees an opportunity for growth, recognition, or reward. The customer doesn't buy because you want to sell, but because your product satisfies a deep need or desire they already have. In every case, the path to influence lies not in imposing your will, but in discovering theirs, and then showing how your suggestion or idea fulfills it. History is filled with examples of leaders who mastered this principle. Take the case of Henry Ford, who revolutionized the automobile industry. Ford wanted to sell cars, but he knew the average person didn't dream of owning a machine. They dreamed of freedom, mobility, and the pride of independence. By appealing to those desires, Ford didn't just sell cars, he sold a lifestyle. Or consider Apple under Steve Jobs. Jobs didn't just sell computers and phones, he sold tools of creativity, identity, and status. His genius lay in arousing wants people didn't even know they had until he articulated them. He tapped into the human hunger for beauty, simplicity, and connection, and in doing so, built one of the most loyal followings in modern history. But this principle is not reserved for titans of industry. It applies in the smallest interactions of daily life. Imagine a neighbor who refuses to keep his lawn tidy, and you approach him by saying, "Your messy lawn makes the whole street look bad. You need to clean it up." Chances are he'll bristle at the criticism and resist. But if you approach instead by saying, "I've noticed how quickly your grass grows. It's such a fertile yard. Have you ever thought about how beautiful it could look with just a little trimming? It would probably increase your property value too." Suddenly, you're speaking his language, his pride, his property, his gain, and the chances of action multiply. Carnegie himself once told the story of fishing with his children. He noted that he personally loved strawberries and cream, but when fishing, he didn't bait his hook with strawberries and cream. Why? Because fish don't care for strawberries and cream. They prefer worms. Too often in life, we try to bait our hooks with what appeals to us, instead of what appeals to others. But the wise communicator learns to bait the hook with what the other person wants, not what we want. That is the essence of arousing eager wants. Modern psychology supports this principle with compelling evidence. Studies in behavioral economics show that people are far more motivated by personal gain, recognition, and meaning than by external pressure. Neuroscience reveals that when people see potential rewards, whether financial, social, or emotional, the brain releases dopamine, the neurotransmitter of motivation and pleasure. Conversely, when people feel coerced or forced, the brain's defense mechanism activates, triggering resistance. In other words, when you arouse an eager want, you literally activate the brain's motivational machinery, whereas demands and commands only activate defense mechanisms. Let us consider leadership. A poor leader says, "Do this because I'm the boss." A mediocre leader says, "Do this because it's your duty." But a great leader says, "Do this because it will benefit you, develop you, or bring you closer to your goals." Which leader would you follow? The answer is obvious. When a leader ties the organization's mission to the individual's personal desires, whether that's pride, recognition, or fulfillment, loyalty and effort surge naturally. That is why companies that invest in employee growth and culture often outperform those that merely demand performance. Parenting offers another illustration. A father may nag his child endlessly to practice piano, but if the child feels no desire, the effort will be half-hearted. Yet, if the parent connects practice to the child's own dreams, imagine how amazing it will feel to play your favorite song for your friends. Suddenly, the child's own eager want becomes the fuel for effort.
Influence rooted in desire is infinitely stronger than influence rooted in force. Even in marriage and friendships, this holds true. If you want your partner to listen more attentively, don't complain, "You never listen to me." Instead, arouse a want by saying, "I feel so close to you when you listen, and it makes my love our conversations even more." The shift is subtle but profound. In the first, you're demanding something for yourself. In the second, you're showing how their action benefits the relationship, and that creates motivation rooted in love rather than guilt.